Collectors, ladies and gentlemen, this is a worldwide global alert. This is a very fluid situation. We have information poured in from all over the place, but we're talking about the drops and reveals from SDCC, San Diego Comic-Con, as well as the big one we've been waiting for from Acghk. Now, as I said, we're collectors, but we're also conspiracy theorists, which means we need to get to the bottom of what's really going on behind the scenes, because we know that what we see with our eyes is not really what's going on behind the scenes. We need to speculate. We need to draw some threads. We need to make some connections. We need to find out what really is going on with our collecting habits, because we need to decide if we need to sell everything that we have so that we can come out ahead in this collecting game. Because what we have in front of us is an opportunity to really talk about the difference between a reveal and a release. So stick around, strap in, because we're going to stop all this speculation. We're going to get to the point of it right now, because all that and more is coming up next. Well, howdy everyone, and welcome back to the channel for a big video today, because we're going to try to get to the bottom of the differences, in my opinion, of reveals versus releases. And I think, although we've had some crazy drops today, and the collecting world is in a fury, especially over the summer showcase recently that we did a video on just the other day, the In-Art Joker debacle, as well as this leaked list of things that were supposed to be at Acghk. And what do you know? It looks like that might be true. Or is it? So we're going to get into that in just a quick second. But before we do, I want to say if this is your first time here and you just stumbled across the page, welcome, obviously. Make sure to give me a like on this video if you haven't already. And if you like this type of content and you want to stick around and see more of it, then of course, subscribe to the channel. I would certainly appreciate it. I'm trying to push towards that 10,000 mark. We're right around the 8,500. So if you know anybody else that may be interested in this type of stuff, well, please go ahead, share it, engage in the comments so that we can boost that algorithm. I would certainly appreciate it, because we are on a mission to 10K. Officially, let's get going with that. But let's talk about these big reveals that they showed us today. And I think that there is an importance to lay out that there is a difference, officially, between reveals and releases. Now, I may be the first person to say that I may have been wrong. Go ahead and timestamp that one, because I don't say that very often. I was pretty adamant about when this leaked list of figures that were going to be at Acghk started to show up on the internet. People lost their minds. I actually went on the Will Foxification show and said that it was BS and it was just a collector's wet dream, and that there's no way that this silly little notes memo is going to be anything more than just speculation, because that's what we as collectors, we're good at. But what do you know? The summer showcase came around, and like you saw, they started to show some of the things that were on that list. The big one was Scorch, everyone's favorite commando. And everyone said, oh, perhaps the leaks are true, but what about everything else on there? And then someone actually pointed out, they're like, hey, if you look at the top of the corner, it's not a leak list for things that are coming. It literally says Acghk. So we know that there is a big convention coming up, and they were going to be showing some prototypes and some new figures, some reveals and releases, yes, and we'd be getting to the bottom of it, hopefully. So I took that with a little bit of a grain of salt, and before you know it, I woke up to Justin's collection showing a little bit of the behind the scenes of some brand new figures, and what do you know? It appears that the leaks may actually have been true. I can't believe it, because the one sitting in the front that I noticed was the battle damage T800 DX13 Terminator. Now, I've been vocal on it that that's one of the ones that I had really wanted, so much so that I jumped the line, bought an old DX13, which I still think holds as one of the best Hot Toys ever created. But here it is again, perhaps. And we'll talk about a little bit more about that in just a second. But then we also saw some other things. We saw a brand new, perhaps, Predator that people had been looking for. We saw a bunch more offerings, such as this obvious USB powered new 2.0 Hulkbuster. How could this be? Oh, and don't forget, there's the comic book Thor from Hano Studios, and oh my God, is that Jar Jar Binks from episode 1? Well, it certainly would appear so, but what is this? A brand new Chewbacca with C-3PO? We as collectors are losing our minds, but it doesn't stop there. We go on to see a bunch of new things. Now, was teased in the summer showcase that a brand new pairs Wolverine is coming out. Now, going back to the leaks list, it said that we have an Old Man Logan coming. Now, this couldn't be it, is it? No, it definitely doesn't look like it. We find out later on that it is a shirtless version of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine from the new Deadpool and Wolverine. But we can't let it all die right there. There's still more goodness to come. We've got Kidpool. We got a brand new Batman and Robin from Batman and Robin. Who doesn't want a good George Clooney Batman on their shelf? I know I don't. But regardless, this had the collecting world in a stir this morning. But I just want to say, can we pump the brakes for a second? Now, I know that's sacrilege. Whenever we're talking about anything that has to do with speculation, people really kind of go off the deep end. And if they see a hint of something, it is to the eBays, it is to the buy-sell trades to get rid of their older figures because they want the brand new one that's never even been released. And that's what I want to chat about today, is that there is a difference between reveals and releases. And I think we as collectors really need to press the brakes sometimes. Now, it's very fun to speculate because we saw that brand new Hulkbuster 2.0 with magical opening claws, whatever you want to call it. But here's the thing. Everyone says because there's a brand new Hulkbuster coming, that means there's a brand new 2.0 Hulk coming. So I need to get rid of that Hulk because I need this one. Going back to just the couple other days, to the summer showcase, we saw a brand new battle damaged Darth Vader. And what does everyone do? They threw their DX28 from the Kenobi series, which is sitting right there for me, and they're saying, I don't want this anymore. I want the new one. Now, that's officially been released for pre-order coming up here in just a couple days, but you're still 18 months out from not having a battle damaged Vader in your collection, and because you need the definitive version, you're willing to get rid of that one? That's what I'm getting at, is that I think we jumped the gun a little too quick, because these are reveals. These are not releases. Now, obviously, press and pause right here for a little bit of conspiracy. There is an opportunity that all of these could go up for pre-order to be released. But let's be realistic. We also know that they just go ahead and make things for these conventions to get people hype and talking. We all know about the Hot Toys graveyard. How many things have been teased and put out there only to never be shown again? Now, going back to the leaks list. Now, as I said at the top, it said Acghk, and this was the list of things that were going to be there. Here is my speculation, and I may be proven wrong in just a couple days, and all these may come out available for pre-order. But this is the list that someone saw of the inventory that they're bringing here to that convention. It does not mean these are the new figures that are going to be coming up for release. Case in point, let's start with the battle damaged Terminator. As I said, I am very hype about that one because that obviously is a brand new base, okay? That is obviously not the one that came with the DX13. That's 100% new. But if you look closely at the figure, that 100% is an older figure. You can look at mine right now, and I can tell you that mine are in better shape than that one. Now, I know it's battle damage, but from the paint apps to the way the jacket on that one is flaking and falling apart, I have some doubts. Perhaps, maybe it is just a thing to get people hyped and excited about because they will be releasing a Terminator and they're just gauging some interest right now by saying, hey, here's the base it's gonna come with, because they've been doing some really killer bases recently. And they said, we don't have this ready. Let's go ahead and put this up, this old one, and see what people say. That's my speculation. Now, going back to the list, the big one that people were wondering about is this Dark Side Artisan Anakin. Now, people have tried to translate this, and that's kind of what they said that this is. But is it possible, once again, drawing all the threads and making sense of all of this, is it possible that they saw that battle damage Darth Vader, and that is the Dark Side Anakin, because it's a full open battle damaged head sculpt of Hayden Christensen. Is that potentially what they saw? I don't know. Speculation. One of my favorite lines from Jaws is when Hooper is talking to Brody on the dock. They just caught the tiger shark, and he says this.
Now, I'm not saying that this is not the shark. It probably is, Martin. It probably is. I want to be sure. You want to be sure. We all want to be sure, okay?
I absolutely love Jaws. I love Richard Dreyfuss as Hooper, one of my favorite characters in all of film. But as he says, I just want to be sure. And before I go out there and tell everybody, sell your stuff because the new ones are coming, I just want to make sure. And I think we should make sure as collectors. Now, if you say, this is the way I want to do it, this is the way I collect because I always want the next best thing, by all means, go right ahead. But for me, I like to have things in my collection. And if we're always going to play the game of I need the next best, you will have nothing in your collection at that point, because if people are already selling their DX28 to try to come out ahead because the definitive battle damage Darth Vader is coming around the corner, there's always going to be a new something coming. We maybe need to just dial it back just a little bit so that we can be content with what we already have. Now, going back to some of the things that they showed, as I said, I think these are reveals and not necessarily all going to be releases. Now, they look like they have put a lot of effort into the Jar Jar Binks. Now, naturally, that is one that people are really excited about, but going back to the Predator, I saw this side-by-side showing of they're saying, hey, this is the exact same mold as the old one. Now, once again, speculation. Everybody wants a brand new Predator. But does it really make a lot of sense for them to just dust off an old figure and put it out there? Or are they gauging interest? As I said, we love to speculate. And if I'm completely off base here, let me know. What's some threads that are being pulled out there that I'm missing? Now, looking at this list, there is a lot to get excited about. And as I said, admittedly, maybe I was wrong because some of these were officially released and put up for pre-order. I mean, how many people were so excited about the die-cast General Grievous? I know I put my name on the RSVP list so that when it comes open and available, I will be right there. From the Artisan Black Widow to the Artisan Tom Holland and everything in between, we have some great stuff coming to us as collectors. But as I said, there is a difference between a reveal and a release. Just because you see these, don't mean they're coming. Now, it's super fun to speculate and to automatically start selling all your stuff out there to make room, but please, I just caution you to show a little restraint. Let's wait for all the facts to come in before we do that. And I understand the market speculation saying, well, I need to sell this now before it gets released and revealed because I don't want to take a loss more than I already am. And you know what? I get that. Collect as you want to collect. But for me, I'm going to hold my breath on a couple of these because I just do not see it actually materializing. It very well may. We saw the kid pool in the Deadpool that was going to be the exclusive just the other day in the official release photos. So we knew that was potentially coming, and what do you know? There it is. That is the difference in a release and a reveal. And there's no doubt going to be a lot more coming down the pipe. But that's how I collect. What do you think? Are we jumping the gun on this a little bit too much? Are we being a little bit too conspiratorial? Because as I said, I love pulling the strings and attaching it all together because if this figure's made, then that figure's being made, and I need to sell this one to make room for that one. You see how it can get a little bit over the top? Now, I love a good conspiracy, but I think these may just be a little bit too far out there. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and we all win. But if not, I'm going to be happy that I have a few extra pieces on my shelf. Well, that's going to do it for us here today. Just a real quick video to have fun, to talk about releases and reveals. As I said, if you like these kind of just shoot from the hip type videos, which this is, let me know. I want to try to put out as much content for you as we can because, as I said, we're on our road to 10,000 subscribers. If you've not done so already, please do so to help me get there. And if you're not following me on all my other socials, make sure to check me out on Instagram, on the TikTok, right here. Lots of good stuff going on everywhere. Until our next time that we get to be together, happy collecting, and I'll be seeing you